Okay, so let's be real. Cold plunges, hot saunas, you've seen them everywhere, right? They're all over social media. But beyond the hype, what's actually going on? What does the science say? It can feel like a world of conflicting advice, but today we're going to cut through all that noise. Let's get into it and find some clear, science-backed answers. This question from a user on Reddit, man, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the confusion. Are we just paying for some fancy marketing and good vibes, or are there real, tangible benefits to all this? In this explainer, we're going to arm you with the knowledge to decide for yourself. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll frame the whole hot versus cold debate. Then, we'll dive deep into the science behind the jolt of cold therapy and the deep soak of heat. After that, we'll look at how you can combine them for maximum effect. And finally, we'll help you build your own personal temperature toolkit. All right, let's kick things off at the beginning. Is this a simple choice? Team hot versus team cold? Well, not exactly. A better way to think about them is as two completely different tools for two very different jobs. And this table really lays out the core difference at a glance. On one side, you have the cold plunge. That feeling? It's an invigorating jolt, for sure. It squeezes your blood vessels, we'll talk more about that, which reduces blood flow to calm down inflammation. The main goal here is to boost your energy and speed up recovery. Now, the hot tub, that's the total opposite. It's all about soothing relaxation. It opens up your blood vessels to increase circulation, promoting a sense of calm. Now, let's talk about the cold. And I don't mean just, feeling chilly. I mean using cold as a strategic, beneficial shock to your entire system. You know that feeling, right? The second you hit that icy water, gasp, your breath just disappears for a second. That's not just you panicking. It's a powerful, hardwired reflex called the cold shock response. And that initial gasp, that rapid breathing, that's the very thing that kicks off all the amazing benefits we're about to get into. So, what's actually happening to your blood flow? Well, this garden hose analogy is a fantastic way to picture it. The cold causes something called vasoconstriction, which is basically like squeezing the garden hose. It tightens up all your blood vessels, pulling blood away from your muscles, and that's what dramatically reduces swelling and inflammation. And this leads directly to some pretty awesome results. That squeezing the hose is your secret weapon against that day after the gym soreness. But at the same time, the cold triggers this massive neurochemical rush in your brain, giving you an instant, caffeine-free energy boost. And, over time, willingly stepping into that cold, that's like taking your willpower to the gym. It builds some serious mental resilience. And if you think that sounds good, get ready for this. The sheer scale of this chemical response is what's truly staggering. One major study found that cold exposure can crank up your norepinephrine, think of it as your body's own focus drug, by 530%. Yeah, that's not a typo. It also spikes dopamine, the motivation molecule, by 250%. This is why you feel so sharp and dialed in for hours after a plunge. Okay, but the big question, do you really need a fancy plunge tub? Can't you just take a cold shower? Well, while studies show that cold showers do have some benefit, a plunge is way more effective. A shower only hits parts of your skin, and the water is usually a lot warmer. A plunge gives you that full body immersion at a consistent, colder temperature, which delivers a much more powerful and reliable stimulus. And if we go even deeper inside your body, the cold activates these things called cold shock proteins, or CSPs. The best way to think of them is as your brain's personal protection squad. One of the key players here is a molecule called RBM3, which has been shown to protect your neurons and preserve the connections between them, showing huge potential for long-term brain health. Okay, enough shivering. Let's completely flip the switch. From that invigorating jolt of cold, we're moving over to the deep, restorative power of heat. And this isn't just about feeling cozy. It's about triggering a powerful repair response in your body. Remember our garden hose analogy? If cold was like squeezing the hose shut, well, heat does the exact opposite. It causes vasodilation, which is like opening that hose up to full blast. Your blood vessels expand, sending a huge rush of oxygen-rich blood to your muscles to help them heal and repair. And that increased blood flow feels fantastic for soothing everyday aches and pains. It also has this amazing ability to calm your nervous system, which helps lower the stress hormone cortisol. Oh, and here's a great little life hack. A hot soak about 90 minutes before you go to bed raises your core body temperature. The cooling down process that follows actually signals to your brain that it's time for some deep, restorative sleep.
And just like cold has its special proteins, so does heat. Meet the heat shock proteins, or HSPs. If the cold proteins are the protection squad, think of HSPs as your body's internal repair crew. Molecules like HSP70 act like tiny mechanics, helping other proteins fold correctly and taking damaged ones away to be recycled. They are absolutely crucial for muscle recovery.
So, we've got the protection squad from the colds and the repair crew from the heat. What do you think happens when we get them to work together? Yeah, it creates one of the most powerful recovery protocols you can possibly do. This is called contrast therapy, and honestly, the best way to think of it as a vascular workout, a workout for your blood vessels. By alternating between hot and cold, you're creating this incredible pumping action. The heat opens your vessels up, and then the cold immediately squeezes them shut. This flushes out all that metabolic junk, like lactic acid, way more effectively than either one could do alone. And the best part is, you can totally try this yourself. The protocol is super simple. You're going to start with 3 to 4 minutes of heat to get everything opened up and flowing. Then, you immediately switch to 1 minute of cold. Repeat that cycle 3 to 5 times. And here's the most important part. You always finish with cold. That ensures your vessels are constricted at the end, which keeps inflammation down and leaves you feeling amazing and energized.
Okay, a quick but really, really important safety note here. Because contrast therapy causes such rapid changes in your heart rate and blood pressure, you have to be smart about it. Always listen to your body. If you feel dizzy or weird, just stop. Stay hydrated. And please, if you have any cardiovascular conditions, talk to your doctor first. This isn't something to mess around with.
All right, for our final section, we're going to put it all together. We've gone through the science, now let's make this actionable. This is your guide to choosing the right tool for your specific goals. This chart makes it super easy. Just find yourself on this list. Are you an athlete looking for faster recovery? A cold plunge or contrast therapy is your absolute go-to. A busy professional? Try using cold in the morning for that focus boost, and heat at night to unwind. If you're dealing with chronic pain like arthritis, the gentle heat of a hot tub is probably your best friend. And if you're a biohacker trying to maximize everything, contrast therapy is definitely for you. Now, this is the part that blows most people's minds. You'd think you need to spend hours and hours a week doing this stuff to see results, right? Wrong. Some really groundbreaking studies have found the minimum effective dose, and it's shockingly achievable. We're talking a grand total of just 11 minutes of cold exposure and 57 minutes of heat exposure, spread out across the entire week. That's it. And that leads to maybe the single most important takeaway from this whole thing. The goal is the stimulus, not adapting to it. You don't get extra points for being able to sit in an ice bath for 11 minutes straight. In fact, you might be losing the benefits. The magic comes from that short, repeated shock to your system. You want to keep the stimulus a stimulus. Short, consistent sessions are way more beneficial than one long, grueling one. So, when you step back and look at it, it's not really a debate of hot versus cold, is it? It's about understanding that your body is this incredible machine, built to adapt and get stronger when it's challenged. The only real question left is, how are you going to use these powerful elements to build it